A simple Google search goes a long way, and this video right here is going to prove just that. So of course y'all already know what has occurred by now at the beginning of the month of November. Now granted, I'm recording this on October 30th, but by the time I go up, it'll be halfway through the month already. But of course, you know, on November 1st, they ended up cutting SNAP benefits for millions, and I mean millions of people who, whether or not they were using it the right way or not, but there were people that got swept up in it who actually did indeed need that money. And they ended up cutting the SNAP benefits because reasons. But I wanted to start off the video like this. Initially, I was going to start off with the post that I was going to go in on, but I said, let me start off here because I feel like this is the best course of action. A simple Google search, people, is all that is needed. So I went to Google and just simply typed in who benefits the most from SNAP, welfare, food stamps, whatever. And this is what came up. It said white people receive the most SNAP benefits, while households with children, the elderly, or a person with a disability make up the largest share of recipients and receive the most benefits. So as you can see right there, they're already telling you what ethnic group benefits the most. Just they say white people, that's the group race wise that benefits the most. But then they broke it down to people who have children, the elderly, or a person with disability. Now that could be expanded across the board amongst various racial groups. But as far as a group by itself, is white people that benefit the most. That right there is very important. But let's continue. In terms of demographics, children account for the largest single group of participants, followed by the elderly and then non-elderly people with disabilities. So they break it down now by race and ethnicity. White, approximately 37% of SNAP participants are white. We'll just say Black American. Roughly 26% of participants are Black. Then they say Hispanic, about 16% of participants are Hispanic. Then they say Asian 4%, Native American just over 1%, and race unknown is about 17%. Now, what I find to be very interesting is that if you look at all the other groups that are not white, they say roughly about, around, just over, or about. But when it came, which means it's somewhere in that ballpark range, but that's not the definitive number. But if you look under white, it said approximately 37%, which means that is the definitive number of white people who benefit, which means that's the locked in number. It's not around, it's not roughly, it's not over or under, it's approximately, which means they tally that thing down to a T, which means they know for certain that white people are 37% of the SNAP benefits in the US. That's the locked in number that they have. Like, they know for sure that's what it is. So for those who probably read this before, you just got an even more thorough breakdown just of that part alone if you never picked up on that. That's something that I picked up when I immediately saw it. But of course, you know, the usual suspects, they're going to gloss right over that because for years, the thing has been that Black people receive the most in EBT, you know, because of the welfare queen thing that happened back under Ronald Reagan and all the other stuff like that. But now everything is starting to get exposed with this SNAP benefits being taken away. It has exposed who is really on it, even though for years Black people have said to our own defense that we are not the ones that benefit the most from it. It is white people. And like the data is there, and the data is conducted by other white people. And it's been like that for years. But now it's gotten exposed because now they've taken away that benefit, at least for the time being, as long as the government is shut down. But I brought that up because I wanted to go into a couple of these tweets that I saw that popped up on my timeline. And it's just absolutely ridiculous of the way that the usual suspects who are already anti-Black, or the angle that they're using to go about this. So this first tweet right here that came from someone named David Santa Carla, and I think I've seen their page before. I mean, I've seen their page, but tweets have come up upon my timeline on Twitter before, and they are one of the usual suspects. They posted up a picture of Austin Metcalf and Irina Zarutska. As you all know what happened with Austin Metcalf and Irina Zarutska, because they wouldn't stop talking about it, or at least they blew it out of proportion. I'll put it like that. He said the quote, "What about my kids? EBT folks were the same ones laughing when it was our kids dying." And I'm sitting here saying to myself, I already know that he's talking about black people when he put the "what about my kids." He's talking about black people right off the bat. And he said the EBT folks, again, black people are not the majority when it comes to EBT, unless that's who he's trying to single out. And let's just hypothetically say there were black people that were laughing or poking fun. I bet you not every last one of them were on EBT. And he posted up a picture of Austin Metcalf and Irina Zarutska, which I don't know why, especially with Irina Zarutska, because Irina was Russian or German. I forget which one. It was one of the two of those locations. So no, Ukrainian. I'm sorry. She was Ukrainian. She was a Ukrainian refugee, so she wasn't even an American citizen. But what did I say? If a black person does something that they feel has aggrieved a white person, white American be damned. The fact that she's just white in skin tone or complexion or maybe identity, that would be enough for them to come and rush to her defense. And they showed their whole hand with that one. And I told people before, even with Charlotte Hendricks, she wasn't even American, but they came to her defense because she said the N-word to a disabled black boy in the park. So they threw all that America First out the window with her. Amazing how they love to claim America First, but when it comes to stuff like this, America First, that's non-existent, at least for the time being. And then, of course, with Austin Metcalf, and they blew that out of proportion into what it has ballooned into today, or at least at the time. They used both of these instances to try to say that it was white people under attack when that wasn't even the case. One situation is still up in the air, but right now many are saying that it could be possibly self-defense, but we won't know anything until the trial happens and we see all the things roll out from that one. The other one, the guy was clearly schizophrenic. It was diagnosed. It had nothing to do with the fact that that Austin Metcalf is white and that Irina Zarutska was white and white Ukrainian. But that's what they would love to have you believe, and they keep pushing that, but no one's listening to them. And that's probably another reason why they feel like they're being replaced, because no one's giving them all the attention. So I thought that was very interesting that he put that up there, but it didn't stop there because there was more posts as well. So you have this post right here who their account name is MAGA Meme Team, which lets me know this person does nothing all day but sit on social media. So I don't know what they're doing with their lives besides just doing this. They said, "Last thing I care about is their EBT problems after the crap we had to deal with." What did you have to deal with personally? So the pictures that they used was Trump getting shot at. You have Irina Zarutska in her last moments. You have Daniel Penny being arrested or taken out of the courtroom after what he did to Jordan Neely. Then, of course, you had Charlie Kirk. And I don't know exactly what that last one is. Maybe someone can let me know what that it's a person standing there in front of a burning building and with their hands raised in the air. I'm not exactly sure what that one is. But what I found to be interesting is that the first one with Donald Trump, that was done by not one but two white guys, but at two separate occasions. Irina Zarutska, that was by a black guy who was schizophrenic. Daniel Penny took out Jordan Neely, despite them saying that he was not guilty for what he did. And the person who did Charlie Kirk was a white guy. So I don't know why they're posting these pictures up there and they're talking about stuff that they had to deal with. You didn't have to deal with that personally. Every last thing that's going on up there, that was an individual thing, whether tragic or not. So I don't know what this person's talking about, and they're trying to latch their whiteness onto this as if they were the one that was personally dealing with this. Like, they're crashing out right now. Like, they really are. It's actually pretty pathetic and hilarious at the same time to see. But like I said, there's more posts, so we're going to move on to the next one. Then you have this post right here, and I think this might be the last post, by this person who goes by the name of Mr. Nigglesworth. I can just imagine who runs this account just based off of that name. They said, "How I sleep knowing EBT will be cut off from millions of people from marginalized communities," and they have a picture of what looks to be like, is that a squirrel laying in a bed? And I'm sitting here saying to myself, well, Are you talking about white people in those marginalized groups? Because they're the majority who are benefiting from SNAP and EBT. So while you're clapping or sleeping rather of quote unquote marginalized groups being affected by EBT, it's going to be just as many, if not more, white people who are going to be hurt and affected by this. This is where the age-old saying, cut my nose to spite my face, actually comes into play for this post right here. So because you're upset at whatever and you don't like quote unquote marginalized groups, you're glad that what's happening to them is happening, even though this is happening within your community at a higher rate, or vast majority of people in your community are going to be affected more by it. But because people who are not white, but especially black, are affected, are going to be affected by it, you found joy in it. This is why, again, I say I feel nothing. It's stuff like this, which is why I always say that is going to be my lifetime chant, my lifetime mantra. And I hope y'all latch onto it as well if you haven't done so already. It's stuff like this, which is exactly why I say, why bother? This is just who they are. This is who they are, and this is who they always will be. So in summary, you had the first post, they tried to use the deaths of two people, and I think that's real egregious, in order to say that why should I care about people losing their SNAP benefits and everything. And the thing is, they don't have any comparison. How are you going to compare two people who lost their lives to people who are losing their SNAP and EBT benefits? There's no comparison there whatsoever. Then you have the other post that mentioned, again, more people in situations whether they lost their lives or were responsible for taking people's lives. And you're basically doing the same exact thing as the first post did. And then you have this one right here talking about this is how you're going to feel knowing marginalized groups are not going to have their SNAP and EBT benefits by after the first, or on the first, and going forward as long as this government is shut down. I'm like, you do realize that it's a domino effect, because even though they might, that's a sector right there that's affected, there's other areas in the government that's going to possibly affect you. I always tell you about the domino effect. Once one domino falls, the rest fall into that last domino hits the floor. So I don't know if it's a coping mechanism or what, but the fact of the matter is that while these individuals are going to be affected, I'm sure there's some way in capacity that this shutdown is going to affect you. And you know what? With the attitude that these individuals have, like the ones that I went over, I hope it affects them and hits them hard, if not harder than it is the same people that they are quote unquote going in on.